Good evening, good day, everyone. Welcome to the Passionate Professional series. My name is Tunde Kukoyi, and I'm your host today for another exciting episode. The Passionate Professional series is an offshoot of the Passion and Purpose Hub, which is a channel that shares useful knowledge that helps us maximize our passions and our purpose. So we do not only enjoy success, but also fulfillment in our personal and professional lives. Guess what? It's already episode 13 of the Passionate Professional series, and over the span of this program, we've featured many exciting and life changing guests that will be able to share their thoughts, their insights, and their ideas. And I hope you've been learning something from them. I also want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has been joining because without you, these episodes would not have been running. These episodes are here mainly for you, and I hope that you are learning from these passionate professionals because if they can do it, it means that you also can do it and you can make a positive and significant contribution to your community and to the world at large. Our guest for today is already in the studio, and I will tell you that he's been up before 5 a.m. to add some value to us, and you understand why very shortly. But just before I bring up our guest for today, I'd like to ask you a question, as I always do. And the question for today is probably the most asked question that of your life. You've probably heard this question the most number of times, but again, let's just look at it from another context. And the question is this: How are you? You agree with me that you've heard this question several times. Even your friends, your family members ask you that question too many times to count. And your answer is probably, I'm fine. But I want you to pause and think about it from the perspective of well being. As professionals, it's very easy for us to get lost in the hustle and grind of life that we don't pause and consider our own well being. The question is, are you actually feeling well and are you functioning well? And that's what well being is all about. Looking after our well being as professionals will help reduce the stress in our lives. It will help boost our productivity and our creativity, and it will help improve our life and our job satisfaction. One of the major ways that we can look after our well being is by connecting with others, either in our family, in our workplaces, in our religious institutions, in our communities. The research from the field of positive psychology has shown that connecting with others actually helps us to be happier people. It helps us to live healthier lives and it also helps us to live longer. Our guest in the studio today is an expert at connecting. He's someone who's passionate about well-being, and he does it not only at a personal level but also at a community level. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest for today to us. So let's start by reading his bio. So our guest for today is Dr. David Onu, and he's a healthcare professional with 24 years of experience across Nigeria, Trinidad and Tobago, and Australia. The Tasmania Health Service currently employs him as a forensic and legal medical specialist. He holds dual fellowships from the Australasian College of Legal Medicine and the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners. He has a Master's of Forensic Medicine and a medical degree. He's a dynamic and energetic community leader. He's a board member. He's an advisor and a mentor to many community organizations and emerging leaders. He has been the incumbent president of the Nigerian Community in Tasmania Incorporated since 2017. He also serves as a founding member of the Council of Nigerian Associations Presidents in Australia, CONAPA, which is the apex leadership forum for all Nigerians living in Australia. He's an internationally certified relationship coach, and he hosts his blog at davidonu.com where he publishes excellent content to help people take control of their lives, achieve holistic health, find personal growth, and grow their relationships. His constitution is built on abiding faith, realistic optimism, integrity, and unending personal growth and development. He is happily married with 4 children. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome to the stage Dr. David Onu. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kukui. Nice to have me here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking this. I don't know what to, I mean. It's really a sacrifice, and it shows the kind of person you are. Deciding to wake up at 5 a.m. to join a live stream is something that many people would not do. So I just want to say thank you for being so gracious to accept this invitation and come up at such an early time. So I'll say good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think the first thing I always like to ask for people that are already in the studio wanting to find out about you, a little more about you, is just for you to tell us about yourself. But just before you do, please remember that this is an interactive session. So make sure that you ask your questions to keep it as interactive as possible. Any burning questions that you have, or if anything strikes you as an aha moment, just take a note of it and put it on the group chat to keep this as interactive as possible. Thank you very much. I think that's the bonus of attending live versus watching the replay. You get to participate in the show, and you get to be a part of the show as well. So, Dr. Oduk, are you able to tell us a bit more about yourself for the benefit of the audience that's joined in?
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Kukui, for the having me on the show and also for reading the bio. It's a very great opportunity and privilege I have to be here. And just a little bit about myself. I am a very curious student of life, in that I like learning from the experiences of others. And also, I am very focused on developing myself. So, like you said in the bio, I am a student of personal growth and development. So, and in addition to that, I am a lovely dad to four amazing children. I'm also married to my lovely wife, and I feel privileged to have been called friend to many individuals who sort of rub minds with me and strategize with me. I'm also very passionate, as you've indicated, in community leadership. And I would say that I've had the privilege as well to mentor and be mentored by others. And above all, I'm a child of God. So that would just be a brief, summary of whom I think I am.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Anu. I can see a lot of people that are joining from everywhere across the globe. Someone is saying good morning, someone is saying good afternoon. Our last guest as well, Kadige, is also here watching live. Dr. Adaeze, thank you all for joining in and welcome on the show. So, Dr. Anu has just introduced himself. And one thing that struck me when he started was, apart from introducing himself as a husband, a father, and he said he's a student of life. And I found that rather interesting. So, what do you mean by being a student of life? Just for perspective, if you can share more about that.
All right. I think by saying I'm a student of life, what I mean is that I want to learn from the experiences of other people who have lived before me, both in terms of their age, both in terms of whether they've even died, and also from my own experiences, because life is a very big journey. Which starts from birth and ends in death. And so everything that happens to us, whether it's our successes, our failures, challenges, are all experiences. So it will be very nice to profit from those experiences. And also, I'm an inverse paranoid, which means that in all these things, I believe that the universe is conspiring to bless me, to make things work out in my favor. So that is just the way I use that term in terms of being a student of life.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I totally agree with you that life is a journey. We're all here to learn something, and we should not stop learning. When we stop learning, so someone said that it's when we stop learning that we start dying. So as long as we continue to learn, we continue. Is also another thing that's important for our well-being. I talked about connecting with others, but also learning is something that has shown that it helps us to feel better as human beings. If we know that we're continuously learning, I once said the story of someone that was learning to play. He was already a well-established cello player, and he was still playing at 90 something. And they were like, "You're already the best at this in the world. Why are you still playing?" And he's like, "Because I think I'm learning something new." So thank you for that lovely introduction, Dr. Olu. Um, you did mention in your introduction about some of the things you're passionate about, but as it is the Passionate Professional series, I would like you to further um, strengthen that, reiterate the things that you're passionate about, because it's all about, someone once said, one of our guests once said that all of life is action and passion. So tell us the things that you're passionate about, Dr. Onu.
Okay, so what I'm very passionate about is I want to make a difference in people's lives by way of contributing to in their own journey and also learning from them. I want to also encourage and empower people to reach their full potentials because we all need encouragement, like you said in the earlier part before welcoming me, that we need to ask, "How are you?" So it's all a journey, and so if you are able to empower and sort of encourage others, inspire them, to reach their full potentials. I think it's very beneficial because along the way, others have also encouraged us, encouraged me, and empowered me as well, inspired me to get to along the journey because things can be very hard. So those are the things that sort of inspire me or motivate me. I also feel that's always nice as well to be able to step out of my comfort zone, to be able to face my fear, and then I see that I grow when I do that as well.
Wow, I mean, just while you're talking about the things that you're passionate about, you talked about making a difference in people's lives, and I mean, just as a proof of every proof, someone has just said that he's had a big privilege to be mentored by you personally during the hard and dark moments of his life, and that you've made a huge difference in his life. So it's not just talk; you actually walk your talk, and that's good. Mr. Philip Hude has also confirmed that as well. Yeah. So. That's I really find that really interesting in the sense that you are passionate about making a difference in people's lives. I know that you have a website, and on your website you talk about things like relationship, you talk about health, and you talk about personal growth. So how did you come to merge all these three into what you are passionate about? Because I know originally you started from a medical background. Just tell us how you go into this journey.
Okay, so thanks for that question. So what happened with the website is that I've always had the nudge or the zeal, the very strong zeal to be able to create content. But the imposter syndrome has always been live, which is, are you good enough? Who are you to, create content? Are you a professional or are you an expert? But what happened was that along the way in my own journey, I learned a lot of things that really helped me. And I had the privilege, like I mentioned, to also be mentored and coached by others. And then I was seeing a pattern, like Philip graciously stated. I have worked one on one with some people. And so I then decided that it would be nice to sort of extend that information that I have learned from my own experience and from extensive reading in professional development and other fields to then put it out there. But in deciding to what I will talk about in the on the website, it was a very big difficulty for me, but coming from the area of my strength in terms of the things I already have learned from my own life and my interaction with others, it wasn't hard to figure out that it has to be personal development. However, I started with motivation, personal growth, and health. And but as I continue to interact with others and get feedback from them, I then put out a content on the advice I will give my younger self in terms of advice around marriage. And then that clicked with people. People started sending messages to me, and then that's put out the aha moment for me that this is exactly what people want to hear about and want to read about. So I've just been going with the flow. I am blessed with a 17-year marriage, so and I have mentored many folks in terms of their marriage, but I didn't consider that I could create content therein. So, but by the feedback I got, and that's how I was able to then incorporate marriage into it, or relationship, and then personal growth, and then health. So that is how I started on the journey, but it was really hard to even start, because you will think, are you good enough? Are you expert enough? But we had to sort of drum down those feelings and move on with the task. Mm.
Wow. Yes, I can totally relate to what you're saying, especially with the imposter syndrome. And it's something that I found that a lot of the people that come up on this show, on the Passionate Professional series, always talk about as well. That there have been times in their lives that they've asked themselves, Am I good enough? Who am I to be the one to be telling people how to live their lives? Or who am I to be the one to try to make a difference in my community? And we can all relate to that. And anyone that is watching this I will play. They're going to be playing the replay of this as well. You should know that it's not unique to you. We all hear those voices within us, but we let our passions and our purpose override those voices that tell us that we're not good enough. And because Dr. Ono has been able to override that voice of fear, that imposter syndrome, he's been able to make a difference in the world, and that's why he's here today. As we proceed, I would just like Dr. Ono to share some of the values with us so that we can all know what drives him. So, what are some of your values that are your non-negotiables?
Oh, my non-negotiables are integrity. Look, you have to have integrity in what you do. You have to be honest. Honesty is the best policy. And excellence. You have to deliver the best of which you're capable of. And you have to also, I have my another value of mine is nurturing relationships, be it in the community level, be it in my family, be it my relationship with my lovely wife, my children, my colleagues at work. Relationships very high on my list. Then abiding faith. That's, like I said, I'm an inverse paranoid. I believe that things will work out well. I believe so. It's not just optimism, it's a realistic optimism combined with an abiding faith that the future holds more in stock, even when you're going through your dark moments at the present time. So those are my values. They are non-negotiables for me. And like I mentioned in the introduction, you mentioned unending personal growth and development. So I have got to work on myself continually, but the ones I've mentioned are very important to me.
Wow. I, that this is the second time you mentioned that inverse paranoid, and of all you said, that's the one that keeps striking me because I've never heard that before, and I find it very, very interesting. And that is more like being an optimist and more. Where did you coin that term from, being an
I,
inverse paranoid?
No, it wasn't coined by me. I picked it up from Robin Sharma. So Robin Sharma, for those who may not know, is a Canadian Indian content creator and well-known speaker, and he writes a lot of books. Some of his books, like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, like the Who Will Cry When You Died, and even also Jack Canfield, who wrote the Success Principles, also shared that sentiment. So most people are paranoid about something, but the fact that inverse paranoid adds another layer into it, in that you believe, strongly believe that the universe, because the law of attraction, the law of abundance, states that the world has a lot in stock. The universe is there, immensely rich, and this is the best time to be alive. So the inverse paranoid brings into that equation, rather than just being paranoid about the politics, about global warming, about anything, okay, murder or anything, so that the universe has got your best interest at heart. And if you have that belief, then it means that you work towards manifesting that belief so that things eventually works out. It's not hopeful thinking. It's ingrained in a lot of psychological studies, but it was from Robin Sharma and Jack Canfield that I find. It wasn't coined by me. I just discovered it. Mm.
Oh, thank you so much. And just to recap, the values that you mentioned integrity, you mentioned honesty, you mentioned abiding faith, you mentioned relationships, and you mentioned excellence. And someone said that he likes how you related or how you put the term relationships as contributing to others and learning from others. Someone has already asked the question, but I think I'm compiling the questions so we can ask you a lot of questions so we can get through some of the questions related to what you're talking about. So Apart from your values are your ingrained principles. What are some of the habits that you do on a day-to-day basis that help you live out these values, Dr. Ono?
Oh, thank you. So one of the great thinkers actually said that habits are the things that actually make life meaningful, okay? Eventually. So my habits, I have many habits, but I will just talk about the ones that have given me the best return on investment, if I can use that term here. So I have got a morning ritual or morning routine, which I do every morning, except if it is not physically possible for me. So that morning routine actually starts from the night before. So I tune up my night and my sleep very carefully. So one of the big changes I made recently was many years ago was I cannot have my phone, my mobile phone in the same room, except as a medical specialist if I'm on call, in which I could be called about a patient. So there's no phone in the room where I sleep, and there's no television. Okay. And once I wake up, I don't touch the phone until I've done my morning ritual. Okay. I'm the first to wake up in my house. And that idea was from the 5 a.m. club by Robin Sharma. I don't wake up at 5 a.m., I wake by 6 a.m. So upon waking, there are few habits I incorporate in the morning ritual. One of them is meditation. So in meditation, I concentrate on my breathing and try to reduce the noise outside of me. Okay. I do that for like 10 minutes. And then I do visualization. So, visualization, for those who may not know, is just using a visual board, but I take a photo of the visual board, which is near in my room, and then just look at it. My vision board just includes the goals I've set for myself or for my family. And it changes over the years. As I find some of them are no longer valuable, I remove them and I add new ones. So I look at this briefly on my phone. They include things I want to achieve, state of mind I want to relate to, and some quotations that drive my life. I scan this very quickly, then I go into the phase of affirmation. So, positive affirmation is when you state your goals, future goals, in the present term as if they are already achieved, and you utilize languages that give joy in its manifestation. For instance, one of mine is I'm invigorated by my pain free, my flexible, healthy, and perfect body, mind, and soul, okay, or spirit. So I do that very quickly. Then I offer my words of prayer. I'm a Christian. I have to thank God for each day that I see the light of the day and commit my ways to the Lord. I do that very quickly. And then if I have got the energy or the time for that morning, I run into my gym. I've got an exercise bike, which I can do for them 10 to 15 minutes. So when I do all this in the morning, it energizes me immensely. I do this before any other person wakes up in the family. Then within the day, I incorporate other habits in my life. Okay, like I laugh and smile at people. I'm very grateful for what they have done for me. I keep a journal, which is keeping a diary, but mine is digital, in which I record some of the key moments of the day, or key moments, key discussion, meetings, or just living life, taking photos, just to be able to remember what has happened for the day. And then I read or listen to audiobooks. So there's the concept of the University on Wheels, which is where they found that the average person commutes 30 minutes to and fro work. Even some people do 2 hours. So rather than listen to the news, which will be telling you about wars, about shooting, and other terrible things, you can use that to listen to podcasts, to audiobooks. So I subscribe to audiobook channels where I can listen to audiobooks, and that's how I've been able to cover a lot of grounds within the recent years. And then those are my the goal, the habits that have given me the best return on investment. And I started this many years ago, and they've really served me well. And I'll commend i- i- s- them in any shape or form to anybody who may want to grow as an individual.
Wow, that's a very very comprehensive list of habits. First, with your morning ritual, you talk about meditation, affirmation, visualization, exercise, and then going into the day with gratitude and journaling. Um, these are Everyone knows that these are things that we should be doing, but we just can't get that energy sometimes in the day to do it. Just as a quick question, how have you how has this made an impact, or how has this made a difference in your life? If you wanted to encourage people to inculcate these habits, how has it made a difference? Can you just give us an example of
Okay,
how it's made
I
a
think
difference?
I think the best difference it makes in my life is that it makes me to be more conscious about myself, my emotional state, and also has lowered my worrying and my anxiety level immensely. And initially, before I started this the morning exercise, I asked myself, look, how what's the wisdom in doing exercise before you go to work? Wouldn't that tire you? But I found that it's actually the opposite because it releases bursts of energy stored in terms of in the cells, so you can then function. It sort of gives me that self achievement. I feel achieved even before I start my mornings. I start work or drop off the kids. So, and my wife has really given me a feedback in terms of my emotional state, that I feel calmer and I feel, I feel more in tune. Okay, so I feel more mindful of during the day. So I can say with the tragedy that has happened in my life, that this morning ritual has become the linchpin, if I can use that term, in terms of pushing me forward. So it has really served and somewhat saved me.
Wow, that's really really insightful. That And I like the way you put it, that you feel that sense of initial self achievement. And just like Robin Sharma that you quoted, or you've quoted already, he always talks about the first thing, winning the first battle in the morning. The first battle is the battle of the bed. Like we all struggle. Like, but once you can wake up, get up early, you have that sense that, oh, I've already won one battle. Like, and the more you keep winning battles, the more you just want to go into your day and just keep conquering and keep smashing it in your everyday life. So I like that. I like the way you just related that to the benefits of your productive habits. Now, in terms of how life, because like you said, you're a student of life. I'm sure that, or I might be wrong, but have there been times that you've had some challenges in your life or a difficult experience in your life, and how did you pull through it? Because, like you said, you're a student of life. We all know that life is not a bed of roses. Sometimes we go through hard times, sometimes we go through pleasant times. But can you just give us one that we can learn from, a challenging experience in your life and what you learned from it?
Okay. So it would have been nice if life was a continuous, beautiful journey, but it is not. So sometimes it seems like you take two steps forwards and one step backwards. I can just share one with you. About 4 years ago, I underwent surgical procedure for back pain. Okay, and that has been back pain that's been niggling and causing discomfort for a few years. And I didn't want to continue to use opiate painkillers. These are strong painkillers that could help. So I was advised that surgery will be very beneficial and will take away the pain. So I underwent in March 2018 surgical treatment, but I can say that it felt like the whole hell broke loose because everything that could be wrong actually happened. And this was done in a tertiary center in my own state in Australia. So I came out of that surgery with massive complication. I had internal bleeding. I had massive blockage of the veins, that's deep vein thrombosis. For people that don't know, it's deep clots that affected the whole of the left leg. I wasn't paralyzed, thank goodness, but it was like pushing me backwards. The intensity of the pain of the back was massive. And then I developed pain in my leg, which I didn't have before, cramps, stiffness, and all the drudgery of life. So it was a very dark moment for me. And I didn't know that at the time, but 4 years before this 2018, I had built up what I'm describing to you as my morning ritual, right? And I had become a massive consumer of personal development, motivation books without knowing it. So it was this that really prepared me, because when everything fell apart, it was this ritual that I'm describing to you, or I call it routine, that's really put me through. Okay. So it was a very dark moment for me. I wasn't paralyzed, good, thanks goodness, but it was a very challenging moment. So life can throw curveballs at us. And a wise man actually said that anybody you see is actually coming out of crisis, or is in crisis, or headed towards crisis. Because you don't know, except they tell you, you need to be gracious, you need to be kinder to people, because you don't know what people are going through. Another person said you could, it's better for you to actually um, act like a duck who is battling underwater, but all you see is a smiling face. Okay, because you still have to push on with life, you still have to know that it's not yet over until it's over. But that has been the most challenging situation for me. I'm getting through. The pain is still there, but it is this ritual of, or routine of, pushing on and still believing that I will get through. That is, and that's one of the things that triggered the website, because I have then learned a lot in terms of my personal journey, and what really is seeing me through. That was actually one of the triggers. So last year, I then made that decision that there's no need to wait anymore. Just go ahead and get it done. So that has been the most challenging time in my life.
Wow. I can imagine. I mean, and for you as a medical practitioner to say that that was one of the most challenging periods of your life. I can imagine people that do not have any medical knowledge as well. How scary it must be for you to go through a procedure and then to end up with complications. But just like you said, someone asked the question that when you're down emotionally, what do you do to keep maintaining a positive attitude? But you just mentioned what you did, and that's that you've been building up yourself even before that happened, and that is something that many people underestimate. I was at a webinar recently, and someone was just talking about fitness. We said talk about fitness, and he said something that I never really thought about before. And he said sometimes we have to get fit because there will be times that life would throw curveballs at us, and that's just what you mentioned. Not just physical fitness, but also mental fitness. Like so, because we have to, and just like you said, we're either coming out of a crisis or we are heading towards a crisis or something like that. So everybody in life is going to face challenges, and a way to actually make sure that you come out better on the other side is to get fit even before those challenges come, and that is physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness. Thank you for sharing that, and it's good to know that you decided that you know what, I'm going to get on with my life, I'm going to make the best out of my life, and you started a very remarkable website, which I would encourage everyone to check. If you haven't checked it out already, it's www.davidonu.com. It has a lot of content related to relationships, to health, and to personal growth, so it's something that you should check out. And someone just asked, I think the person knew the question I was going to ask next. He said, of all your numerous achievements, which one stands out for you? And that was the next question I was going to ask you, actually.
All right. So thanks, Felix, for asking that question, and Dr. Kukui. So look, I've achieved a bit, but the one that stands out most for me will be that in the last 5 years, I've been involved in community development, community leadership. Okay. So, and that was born out of necessity to connect, nurture relationships within the Nigerian community in Tasmania. So, because when I moved to Australia, you won't believe it, I arrived here on a Sunday evening, and then started work the next day. after just being checked out by the medical board. And it took me about 3 months to meet a Nigerian here. I didn't know anyone in Australia apart from one person. I didn't know anyone in Tasmania. So it was a very, apart from the cultural shock, apart from the challenges that we met in terms of settling down. So it now encouraged me. So in the last 5 years, I raised up my hand when there was an election, and then I was elected to become the incumbent and the first president of the Nigerian community in Tasmania. So the aim of that endeavor was to enable people to settle in very quickly. So we created a website, we have a WhatsApp group, and that has really buoyed the association. Okay, people now feel more sense of belonging. So if you were to come in here, you could check our website, you could communicate with us on WhatsApp, and so it's easier for people then to not go through what I went through. And as an offshoot to that, from that, I also 2 years ago was part of the founding fathers, founders of the CONAPA, which is Council of Nigerian Association Presidents of Australia. So it was just a month ago that we did the inauguration in Perth, Western Australia, and it was highly attended. So that's what that association does, is to link all the leaders of the national associations of Nigerian associations in Australia. So that has really uh, helped to, because Australia is very wide, Australia is very big, and so that in terms helps people to be connected together. Another achievement that I'll just mention briefly, which is the website, gives me immense joy because it's where I can connect and share my knowledge and challenges as well with people. So those are the few achievements I will be glad to share that has really encouraged me, because I am not a tech a web developer. I'm not a marketer. I'm not even a writer, but I was able to at least create that website, and then consistently create high quality content that people find valuable. So those are a few of the achievements I will be that really because they align with uh, my goal to nurture relationships and encourage and inspire others.
Wow. Um, the website, I have visited the website and I can say that it has loads and loads of inspiring content. Again, I'm going to say, if you haven't visited it, do visit it, because it doesn't only focus on personal development. It also talks about health, and it also talks about relationships. And yeah, I also found it remarkable that you said that not just that you are the first president, you created the association, but every time it's an election, you put your hand up for election, and that's something that we need to learn as well. That the secret of greatness is responsibility. A lot of times we just wonder how people get into greatness, but they don't wish themselves there. They just decide to take up responsibility. And thank you for doing that and helping people to connect. Like I said, I have a personal family member who's in your district as well, and I'm sure that she's actually benefited from um, the work that you have started doing as well. So, Dr. Now you're always all about personal development, reading books, doing your motivation, your meditation, or do you have some downtime? Do you have some hobbies as well?
Oh, I will say yes, I do. I am not. They say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So, some of my hobbies, if that is what you're asking, will include playing with my 4 children. So, I have a small brood, so playing with them gives me immense joy. I also like collecting witty quotations from books. So, anything I read, even if it's just Reader's Digest, I see anything that is encouraging or might inspire others, I collect all of them. I listen to music and also dance, and thanks to YouTube, it's easy to even listen to foreign music wherever you are.
Which kind
And
of music do you listen to?
oh, I listen to all. It has to be sonorous. So once even if I don't understand what they are saying, like some Zaire music, some South African music, which even the Caribbean music, once it's soothing, okay. Nigerian music. gospel, R&B. There is no. I can listen to music from someone from Ukraine without understanding. Someone said music is universal.
Universal
Yeah,
language.
universal expression of love or something. So even if
Yeah.
you don't understand what they're saying, but it calms you or it gives you joy or it motivates you. So I listen to all sorts of music, and I also collect music as well. So I have got an extensive collection, and then I have an aquarium, so which gives me a lot of joy, because if you don't maintain the fish, they die. If you maintain them, they live. So you have to clean it, monitor the pH. It's a lot of hard work, but once they are healthy, it's and many people, when they visit our home, they comment, especially children, they is the center of the attraction. So those are the things I do as downtime. It wouldn't be wise. I don't recommend that people just go on working without any sort of play.
Mm, true, true. And just like the last line you mentioned, someone said that the opposite of work is not play. The opposite of work is depression. So we need to actually incorporate play into our lives.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So you also mentioned at the start that um, you've got four children, and knowing that you work as a medical professional, you're a community leader, you're into motivation and things like that. How do you balance all of this work and life as a professional?
Oh dear. Look, the
Oh dear.
what? Yes, yes. So, there was a book I read. It's called The Art of Work, written by Jeff Goins. So, Jeff is a very good writer. I've read many of his books. So he actually describes most of what we do as work. Okay. The only difference therefore is that the employment is paid work, but the work I do as a dad, as a husband, as a gardener, as the driver in my home, or even in the community, leadership in the community, they are all work. The only difference is that one pays, the other ones don't pay. So what I do to balance them all, I don't even think balance should be the right word. I would think harmony, life
Mm,
work harmony, or life work integration would be a better way, because you need to first of all decide what you call supreme, right? Where do you want to focus your energy? Because if you think it's, and then there's this concept of wheel of life, so which is one of the things I shared in one of the blogs on the 10 areas of life. So what that wheel of life is trying to state is that if you imagine your whole life to be a wheel, like the bicycle wheel with the spokes, 10 spokes being, for instance, the 10 areas of life, then you need to understand and determine which areas you focus on, so that you don't have a lopsided wheel that will not ride on the road. So, for instance, if you score like 0 being no effort, 10 being the best effort, you score 10 in your paid employment, and then score 2 in your social life, score 1 in your financial life. You see that it's a bit lopsided. So, that may be a way for folks to start getting their head around work-life integration. So some of the things I do will be, I changed my career. I'm still a medical doctor, from working in the tertiary hospital to working in a less, a more, uh, a role that's, offers me more time. Okay, that's one of the things I did. I also am intentional about my time. So, despite all these roles you mentioned, I know when I can say no without feeling guilty about that. I am. I set the necessary boundaries, okay, so that I don't bring work home except if I'm on call, and then I live in the moment. Thanks to meditation and all the other things I do, it means that when I'm at home, I focus on home. When I'm in the community leading, I'm focused on that. So it's not my body is here, my mind is somewhere else. So, and then I don't answer my call in the night, and so those are some of the things I do to just get an integration or a harmony, for amongst the areas of my life here.
wow. See, I'm getting better at this. When I first started these interviews, I used to ask them, how do you attain work-life balance? And then someone told me that it shouldn't be work that comes before life. Life should come before work. So I swapped it around. And now I call it life-work balance. And now I've heard something else, that it's not just balance, that it should be harmony, because you can actually balance things and be struggling, obviously sweating, but harmony shows that there's peace and everything. So thank you for sharing another wonderful insights. I'm learning every day. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, I love some of the concepts that you talked about. And one of them that I picked up that I really found interesting is knowing when to say no. And that's something that we all need to learn as professionals. You can't be gracious, but you can still learn to say no. Because if you don't say no to everything, then that means that you're actually denying yourself of the opportunity to actually be the person that you should be. You can't say yes to everybody. So thank you for sharing that. I'm mindful of the time, and I know that there's some burning questions from the audience. So I'm being very mindful. Someone has asked a question already, and that was okay. I think we can take that later on. It's about your values. So just we'll have some time to take that. But the next question I was going to ask you just before we run into the questions from the audience is, where do you get inspiration from? Do you have mentors and things? You did mention at the start that you've got some mentoring or some inspiration for some people. So, are there any particular people you wanted to share with us about where you got inspiration from?
Look, I have had the privilege of being associated with very amazing individuals, starting from my parents. So my parents are my biggest inspiration. So I come from a big family, and my wife, my dad uh, I had three wives, and out of my own mom, we have I have seven other siblings. Okay, so it was a big family I came from, but my parents really lived in peace in their relationship. And my dad was the community leader, or the traditional ruler of my community from the time I was born. And I've known him as that from the time I was born till he died in 1991. This picture, thanks for sharing it, is his coronation in 1977, when I was only a very few years old. So he has been the source of the inspiration to leadership for me. And from him, I learned he wasn't a man of great means, but he was very honest, and he was quite a peaceful individual. And he also had abiding faith and knew that things would be all right. And from my mom was very elegant. Both my parents are gone now. Very elegant, sweet soul. Taught me openness, nurturing relationship, and also cleanliness. So she wouldn't tolerate any untidiness. You better don't do that. So, and also generosity, very generous individual. So I've also had the privilege of having close friends who act as strategists, can bounce off ideas, and with. I have had mentors and coaches in the past, and I derive immense value from reading books. So I think that I consider the authors that I read their books as virtual mentors. I attend also conferences and seminars and webinars because all these interactions enrich us immensely. So I've had such privilege, yeah, to have inspiring individuals and mentors and coaches as well.
Wow, and thank you for sharing with us also with pictures of your parents. It brings it home. It brings it home. And when you said your mom does not tolerate, I can imagine you can still picture when she says, "I wouldn't tolerate that." Well, yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And you also mentioned about virtual mentors and how all these interactions enrich you and you learn from them. So, in terms of books or authors, are there any particular authors that you've learned from? Who are your favorite authors, or why some of your favorite books?
Okay, so I can just mention three favorite authors. I've mentioned Robin Sharma already. So Robin Sharma wrote a lot of books: 5 a.m. Club, Who Will Die, Who Will Cry When You Die, and The Leader Without Title, very important. The Leader Without Title, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Those four books, very great. Another author that I read a lot and I love his work is Dale Carnegie. So Dale Carnegie wrote How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, How to Make Friends and Influence People, and importantly, Public Speaking for Success. I read these books almost on a yearly basis because they are immense value. Then Robert Greene with an E at the end, will be the last author I'll mention. He wrote Mastery, 48 Laws of Power, and the 21 the laws of human nature. So these three books really can ground you in terms of understanding emotional intelligence, about some of the motivations that drive people. So I read a lot, but these three authors I think would be the most the highest yield. And then, sorry, Jack Canfield wrote a book I wouldn't end without recommending. That is the Success Principles, which will start by telling you to take 100% responsibility for your life, to set your goals, to be financially intelligent, and all the other aspects of life. So these four authors would be the ones I highly recommend.
Wow. Um, Great authors, powerful books. I've read some of them I've not read, but obviously I'll be playing the replay and be taking the names of the books that you've mentioned as well. Just so we get some more time to get questions from the audience, I think I'll just go straight to audience questions if that's okay with you. The first question I have is from Mike. Mike says that as you gain more and more success and recognition, what things do you do daily to stay grounded in your values?
Oh, look, I think it's just to have a value. So I write down my values, okay, and also to mentalize them, so that they are handy, okay. And some of the practices I've also mentioned help to ground me. But in terms of value, it's just to know what is non-negotiable for you, and to also live out what you preach. So, especially for anyone that's a dad, it's easy to say something. Kids are watching you. So if you say you don't lie and then you tell them to tell a lie, then that is not okay. So it's called incongruity. So I have to write down the values, if I may summarize, and then leave them out and make sure that I mentalize them. So even if you woke me up in the night, I will be able to share, this is my value. And they may change, but as long as they haven't changed, some of them are non-negotiables.
Thank you so much. Yeah, leave out your values and don't just write them down. Also walk your talk. I love that. Next question is from Paul, and Paul is saying that he's wowed by your consistency and discipline in maintaining your money ritual, and I'll add in also keeping that website going. So, how do you keep going, and what keeps you motivated to stick to your routine? He wants a personal tip.
Look, I think with so most authors have written in the books I've read that it takes like 21 days, but I can even say it may take up to 42 days to ingrain any habit into your life. I think it's just at the time you're starting to probably have an accountability partner, somebody who, even if it's a mentor, virtual mentor, the book is, in your mind, okay, saying you have to push on. Now, if you're privileged to have a physical accountability partner, that is very important. But you find that and also to know the why you're doing this. If the reason is to sort of strengthen yourself or to build up leverage in terms of future gains, or to even the possibility of increasing your longevity. So if you write those whys and ingrain them in your heart, have an accountability partner, and then resolve. Willpower is very important. Those early days, I've exercised even when it's 3 degrees outside, even when it's burning hot outside. The weather does not matter. Even if it's raining, uh, you push yourself that you have to do that. So those are the things. Then you find that when you pass like 3 months, it's almost you can't stop. If you've been consistent and do something for up to 3 months and it is ingrained in your heart, you reach a point you cannot stop because you keep doing it. You see the values, you see the benefits. Sorry, so that's how you may be able to sort of ingrain those habits. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that. And I love that. I love when you're talking about doing it even when things are difficult, because that is when it actually matters the most to you. Like when you're exercising when it's raining, it gives you that, I don't know what word to use, that gusto that if I could do this, then some challenges in life will not phase you because you've done that. Like when you're exercising in the snow and things like that, when everybody is just trying to keep comfortable, it just gives you that extra push that I have done that before, then I can do this. If you get what I mean. I think like Muhammad Ali was saying that he didn't like the feeling of jogging every morning, but he loved the feeling of being number one in the world. So that's why he kept doing it, and it paid off for him eventually. um, yeah, so Paul says thank you for answering the question. And there's another question from Mike. Mike says that how do you encourage someone to acquire a mentor? His work requires that he travels full time and his projects are 3 months long, so it's not to be a relationship. So how do you encourage him to acquire a mentor, or maybe how would you encourage someone else to acquire a mentor? I'm not really sure.
Look, I understand the question. How to encourage people to acquire a mentor will be to see people that you admire the habits they have, which is what you are intending to acquire. So you need to start with what are your goals, what are the things you want to integrate into your life, and then you search for or even look for recommendations from friends or from colleagues or from those who have done who have enjoyed the services of a mentor, and then you go for it. So mentorship can be either from reading books, from podcasts, from attending an event like today, or having a physical or even phone communication or email with someone. So the new technologies have made mentorship not just physical, but I would suggest that you start with the goals you want to ingrain into your life, and then you find people who manifest those goals, and then you can then approach them. Many people are approachable. Some may just do that free. Some people may also want you to buy their course or their books, but you can really be surprised how affordable it can be.
Wow, thank you. I think we only have 3 minutes to go, and I don't think there's any question that we've not answered. So I always like to end with this question, or this set of questions, and that is, uh, Dr. Onu, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be known for when you leave this world?
All right. Like I said, I'm a child of God. So the first legacy will be that I meet my maker who approves of my conduct while I was on earth by telling me I'm a good and faithful servant. That would mean most for me. But from there, I am smiling down on those who are very dear to me. It's actually one of the affirmations I do every morning. Okay.
Mm.
And then for people that I have lived life with, I want them to have seen me as an encourager, someone that inspired them to reach their full potential, someone that encouraged, someone that put a smile. And then I want to have been seen to have succeeded. So there's a quote I'll share with you now. Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his essays, talked about the meaning of success. I'll just paraphrase it for you. Meaning of success is to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know that even one life breath easier because you have lived. This is sucks to have been successful. So that is my own definition for legacy and success. So if I have made one life even smile better or breathe better just because I have been on earth, I think I have succeeded.
Wow, wow, that's fantastic. Someone said that's fantastic wisdom. Wow, it's been an hour packed with a lot of wisdom, a lot of insights, and I especially want to thank the audience for their participation. Dr. Adaize, Kadige, Felix Obasi, Tamandas, Tolulope, Philip Ude for Bolaji, Mike Robinson. Mike Robinson is always here. Um, who else? I don't want to miss anyone else because David Onu, Emeka Onu. Um, I Ike Mwabude, Ike Mwabude, all of you, thank you so much. Ogbonaya Onu, thank you all making this session truly worth it, because your questions have added a lot of richness and content to the message today. Please remember, if you haven't already, to check out Dr. Onu's website. It's right here. It's www.davidonu.com. This is going to be the last episode for this year, because the last Sunday of the month of December is Christmas Sunday, so it will be a holiday. But thank you all so much for joining all through the year of 2022. It's been a remarkable experience. Like I said during the session, I've been learning as well. It's not just I've not just been doing interviews. I've been learning and I've been recrafting my words as well. So thank you to everyone that has joined, and thank you for staying even this long. I think a lot of people are saying, yeah, thank you, Akipelu Babatunde, as well. Someone is saying, can I apply to be your mentee, Paul Bolaji? I think he will reach you on LinkedIn and he can let you know about that. I know that one of the biggest matches of the World Cup is about to start, so a lot of people are going to be itching to jump off. But thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Dr. Onu, once again for being here and for adding a lot of wisdom to us. As I always say when we are signing out, till we meet again, make sure that you keep living with passion and purpose. Thank you all once again, and see you later. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Remain blessed.